Alright, guys, so let's talk about Russia, let's talk about China. Supply chains are very important. Whoever controls them can shape not just the global economy, but geopolitics as well. By now, everyone knows Russia is a commodity giant. They are one of the biggest energy producers of oil and gas. They sell everything from uranium to aluminum as well. But Russia just reached a new shocking milestone. They have officially cornered the global wheat market. Moscow now controls the majority of the world's food market, and they are doing it at a time when prices are flying up. In other words, they are making a ton of money selling grain to the world. What's interesting here is how Russia is pushing away Western companies. Companies like Cargill have exited the country because Putin, he is consolidating Russian production. He's removing control away from any Western influence. It's a big reason why he confiscated US controlled farmland a few months back. Whoever controls the food supply can influence the world. As it stands, Russia is the single largest exporter of wheat globally. They control 24% of exports, which gives them incredible bargaining power. While the US and the EU controls 26% of grain exports, their production costs are much higher than in Russia. Fertilizers are more expensive and energy inputs cost more, so there is a fundamental difference here. We know the West loves to sanction Russian commodities. Everything from metals to energy are punished in some form or another, but this is one glaring loophole the West can't afford to close. Until today, the West has not sanctioned Russian grain, and it's kind of obvious why. Think of the backlash it will cause in the world economy. Just imagine imposing a price cap on wheat that comes from Moscow. This will simply jack up the price of wheat and trigger a global food crisis. Europe themselves relies heavily on Russian grain. They bought over 4.2 million tons of food imports from Putin in 2023, and that's equivalent to 1.3 billion euros worth. You can say Russia has an overcapacity of wheat production here, but there's no way to block this without causing a humanitarian disaster. If you do this, they will simply sell it to China. The Chinese will get to buy wheat at much lower prices while the rest of the world will starve. So sanctions on Russian wheat are clearly impossible. It's not just the Russians who know the importance of controlling wheat. According to Putin, the US is also big into the game of food supply chains.
Американцы очень прагматичный народ. Вот когда мы говорим о вывозе зерна с Украины, знаете, кто вывозит? Американские компании. Они собственники этого зерна в основном, в значительной части. Оказалось, что земли на Украине давно проданы американским компаниям. Это их зерно, они свое зерно и вывозят. Так поэтому много и, видимо, на этот счет было разговоров.
So why is Russia exporting a ton of grain to the world? It all has to do with setting up a mechanism to control the price of food, to take away the pricing mechanism from the West. In March, Putin proposed the idea of a BRICS grain exchange, a place where buyers can purchase grain directly from the producers, a place where transactions can take place directly between those who want to buy and those who want to sell the wheat. The idea, of course, is to prevent speculation in the traditional commodity exchanges like the COMEX in the US, to ensure farmers can sell their grain at a profit without the volatility, to prevent paper instruments from suddenly crashing the price of wheat. The only way to accomplish this is for Russia to corner the wheat market. If they have a majority of global exports the world needs to buy, they need to deal with Moscow. It should also be obvious how these transactions will be settled. It likely won't be in US dollars, but in the local currencies of the BRICS members, rubles, rupees, and the Chinese yuan. So there is a de-dollarization aspect to Russia's big agenda. It's in their interest to keep producing more grain and exporting it out to the world. Looking at Russia's export trend, it's obvious that grabbing market share overseas is very important. Over the last 2 years, their production has stayed constant at around 90 million tons. It even dipped a little, but their exports increased by 3 million tons during that same period. In total, Russia exported 51 million tons. It's a clear sign that Putin is pushing out more grain and wheat to the world. Sure, it helps to de-dollarize the global economy, but it goes beyond that. Russia is embarking on a type of food diplomacy. They are helping to supply food in secure regions in the world to build influence. Putin is moving fast to supply Africa with food to build their diplomatic footprint there. When the Black Sea grain deal fell apart last year, Putin used Russia's wheat exports as leverage to win over Africa.
Мы будем готовы уже в ближайшие месяцы, в ближайшие 3-4 месяца безвозмездно предоставить Буркина-Фасо, Зимбабве, Мали, Сомали, Центральноафриканской Республики, Эритреи по 25-50 тысяч тонн зерна. Обеспечим и бесплатную доставку этой продукции потребителям.
And as you can see, this is a clear strategic move to shift perceptions in Africa, to move them away from the West towards Russia and the global South. And in this economic war, nothing is off limits. While the West uses the financial system as an economic tool, Russia is using commodities to build influence. Oil, gas, metals, and wheat, all these are part of Putin's arsenal to push back against the West. Now, while Russia's winning the game of commodities, China is winning the game of industries. And we have yet another bombshell to share. It's confirmed that China is now the world's biggest car exporter. They have dethroned Japan and they've taken the top spot. In under 3 years, China has surpassed the traditional automakers such as Japan and Germany. Beijing has accelerated their exports from under 800,000 cars in 2020 to over 4.1 million just last year. In contrast, Japan exported only 3.98 million. All the Hondas and Toyotas added up are still fewer than Chinese vehicles hitting the global market. And this is a clear sign that China's policies, investment, and innovation have surpassed their G7 rivals. And that's why Biden slapped Chinese EVs with a 100% tax. If cars from BYD start flooding the US market, even Teslas on the road will be in trouble. China dethroning Japan is a big deal. This is coming at a time when the Chinese yuan is getting stronger than the Japanese yen, which should be bad for exports. Since 2020, the yuan has been gaining in strength every single year against the yen. 4 years back, it was 15 yen to 1 Chinese yuan. Today, it's nearly 22 to 1. The Chinese currency has appreciated. On a level playing field, this means Japanese cars should be cheaper and thus more competitive. But Chinese exports have surpassed Japan as we have seen earlier, which means their quality and price are sharper despite a stronger currency. The supply chains, the cost of labor, and technology are simply better, and that's why China has caught up. It's another reason why the G7 is freaking out. They have lost the race, and the only strategy left is containment.
Given that China is really not playing by the rules in the sense they have enormous subsidies in critical areas of advanced manufacturing, has resulted in overcapacity.
Once again, is the overcapacity hysteria. The West is starting to raise trade barriers to Chinese goods. Now, some people say that will destroy China's ability to trade, that it will contain Beijing's industrial growth, but that isn't really the case. China is selling more to the rest of the world than the West. US and EU markets aren't the only game in town. Brazil has overtaken Belgium as the top importer of Chinese EVs. And here's how insane the growth is. Exports from China grew by 13 times year on year, selling over 40,000 units alone in April. This kind of growth is shocking. Even if the West blocks EV exports, other markets like South America and Asia will happily buy them up. They get quality cars at a cheaper price. Life will go on. China will keep making money, their industries will continue to grow, while the West will suffer from higher inflation. Just like in Russia's case, when China trades with the world, they will push for settlements in local currencies. There's no point using the dollar today for either side. But the EV craze is just the start. China is not going to stop there. They'll be moving for total trade dominance, and that will mean cornering the AI chip market. China's big advantage is their ability to deploy huge amounts of money into any industry. They have done it before in EVs, and Beijing is about to unleash it again in AI chips. China has established a $47 billion fund to back their national push for chip manufacturing, and the government has roped in all the major banks to back this venture, so the money isn't going to run out. It's the same playbook, and the outcome is going to be quite predictable. 5 or 10 years from now, this investment will reap dividends. Then we'll see this big hockey stick growth rise in their chip production. And the first casualty of this development will be US chip sales into China. Now, if local chip makers can produce a cheaper end product at the same quality, it's a done deal, it's a wrap. Chinese companies will move towards the best option. Nvidia, America's biggest chip maker, is already facing a price war in the country. They are slashing prices to compete with China's Huawei, who's also selling their own chips. And here's how bad things are getting. Nvidia's H20 card, which is still available in China, is being sold at 100,000 yuan per card. At the same time, Huawei's 910B card is selling for above 120 grand, 20% more expensive than Nvidia's card. In other words, Chinese competition is squeezing the margins of Nvidia. China is a big market for the company despite all the US sanctions. It's 17% of their revenue, and profits are starting to drop. Now take this situation and project it to the rest of the world. Once China's technology curve catches up, the focus will be on cheaper production. Beijing will simply shift gears towards massive production of chips for both local and global demand. Then we'll have another overcapacity debacle from the West. This drama isn't over yet. It's very important to realize that China's industrial investment is quite different from the US. We know the US is investing tens of billions into technology as well. But the problem here is the efficiency of this investment. Are US industries getting the full benefits, or is there a big ton of wastage? Biden, for example, spent over $7 billion on EV charging stations, but here's what the US got in return.
The Federal Highway Administration says only 7 or 8 charging stations have been produced with a $7.5 billion investment that taxpayers made back in 2021. Why isn't that happening more quickly?
So the president's goal is to have 500,000 chargers up by the end of this decade. Now, in order to do a charger, it's more than just plunking a small device into the ground. There's utility work, and this is also really a new category of federal investment. But we've been working with each of the 50 states. Every one of them is getting formula dollars to do this work, engaging them in the first handful, again, by 2030, 500,000 chargers. And the very first handful of chargers are now already being physically built.
It's simply crazy. Even the presenter was laughing at this. $7 billion for what? 7 charging stations. And that's why we can't really compare US investment versus China. Two completely different situations. There's a lot of excess and waste in the US. We are witnessing a supply chain war between the East and the West, and this is only going to accelerate even further. Russia, as we all know, is moving to corner the commodity markets, produce and export more oil, gas, and grain, essential commodities that every country needs to operate. China's game plan is a little different, is to extend its manufacturing lead to catch up with the West in AI chips and corner the market there as well. And just because the US has the world reserve currency, the dollar, doesn't mean it's a guaranteed win. Trillions of dollars have been borrowed and spent, but the amount of progress is still lacking. But as always, let me know what you think, guys. What is Russia's plan with their grain exports? And will China or the West win the chip wars? Let me know in the comments below. Stay safe, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe as we navigate through these crazy times.